I am a 25-year-old engineer and I make pretty good money. I'm not rich yet, but I am building wealth and I'm going to take you guys through exactly what my life really looks like while I'm doing it. I'm just a regular guy. I don't come from a rich family. I work hard, I learn, I invest, and I try to be as consistent as possible. I'm not trying to do anything overnight, nothing super fast. This is just going to be me documenting for you guys and telling you guys how I'm doing this in real life. First thing I am focusing on is my income and career. There's a difference between having a job and having a career. I think in your 20s, you really have to focus on what you want your career to be, right? A job is something that you just do for money. If you just have to work a job, like a like work fast food or something like that, that's fine. That's fine. You can make that out of a career, but you need to find what your career wants to be, something that you can level up on, something that you can climb the ranks on. All right. So that's what I'm focusing on first is my career. You can't build wealth without money coming in. I work as an engineer, which is very solid for my age, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But even more importantly, it's something that I can keep growing in over time. I didn't just walk into this job. I had to build skills. I had to get certifications. I had to network, and I'm still learning. I'm consistently learning every day, working on different types of things because I feel like right now, growth matters more than comfort, right? So I'm not trying to be comfortable at all right now. Just a little something for you guys. Last year, I was interviewed for two $100,000 job offers, and it was amazing. But the numbers weren't the only thing I had to factor. It also had to do with location, hours, long term growth. And that was really a decision that most people really ignore when they just chase a number. If you're trying to uh, grow in your career in your 20s, I think you need to think of the skill over the salary for now. Because the thing that you have that you don't realize is time. Especially if you're in your 20s, you have time, right? So I think personally, if you had a choice to get a job that gives you more skill over more salary at the moment, I think you should take the skill. And that's a whole nother separate video. We can talk about that at a different day. The second thing that I'm focusing on is budgeting and saving. Okay. Next, I want to control what I spend. This is huge because it doesn't matter about how much money you make. It's all about how much money you can keep and if you can manage it, right? So one thing I always try to do is to live below my means at all times. I don't have a super crazy lifestyle, but I don't deprive myself either. I'm regular. I'm just like everybody else. I like to party. I love. If I had to say I spend my money on anything, I like to spend my money on good food, and I do love vacations. But other than that, I don't buy crazy amounts of Jordan. I don't do that type of stuff, right? Because I'm focused on long term. I don't think you should deprive yourself, but don't go crazy either. Because one thing that can happen to you as you start to make money is you could do what's called lifestyle creeping, and that is basically buying things and getting things just because you can. And that's something that I am being very, very aware of and trying to avoid as much as possible, right? So, for instance, like if I was to, let's say if I was to go out with my friends, right? And everybody's, trying to grab Starbucks or they're trying to get something, whatever, right? You have to just be mindful of how many times you go out with your friends to do things. Because if you live in a city, right, which I recently moved to a larger city, if every time you go out, it's gonna be minimum about $100, right? So you might have to have some times where you say, "Hey, I can't go out this weekend," or, you may have to really not go out. There may be times where you have to do that, and that's okay. You don't really need extreme sacrifice. You just need to have a plan. You need to be consistent, okay? You don't want to budget to the point where it feels like a chore. You want to have first make sure your bills are taken care of, all right, and make sure that you are saving or investing, and everything else can kind of fall in line after that. Okay, we can talk more about that. Speaking of investing, that's the third thing that I'm really making sure I'm doing. Investing is a huge part of how I plan to build my wealth in my 20s. I think this is the great starting point for me. Being blessed with, being an engineer, I have the privilege of having money left over to be able to invest, right? So that's why the career is number one, because investing isn't cheap, especially if you want to make some real money. You have to have money coming in, right? This is where a lot of people get lost, especially younger people, because a lot of people in their 20s, they're not really worried about investing, or they don't know really where to start, or they say I'm going to wait. But the cost of waiting is a lot, right? And that gap of how much it costs to wait continues to get larger and larger every day, every year, every 2 years. Because you think about it, if you invest $100 a month, that is $1,200 a year, right? But if you invest nothing, that's zero, right? So you just need to get the snowball rolling, okay? And I keep it pretty simple when it comes to my investing. I set my investing up just like a bill, right? So just like I gotta pay my car note, I know every time I get paid, I have to put a certain percentage of my check into my investing account for the long term. Okay. Now, something else I also do, I also put money into my 401k. So my employer does a employee match, which I feel like if you have an employee who does a 401k match, I feel like you should take full advantage of that, because it's free money, right? So how it works is, let's say if you have a company where they say they match up to 6%, right? So that means if you put in 6% of your check, they're going to put in 6% on top of that. That is free money, right? So I don't want to leave any free money on the table at all, right? Because what you need to do is to say, okay, well, if I take 6% of my check and they're matching that, I want you to look at how much money over time, let's say and you can't look at this from a 1 to 2 year standpoint. You got to look at this over a 20, 30-year standpoint, right? And you have to also factor in that you're going to make more money as you progress, as you build your skills, as you get better in your career. So that's 6% right now. Let's say if you make 100,000, just for sake of the argument, if you make 100,000, you putting in 6% every check. At the end of the year, you would have put in 6,000. But if it's a employee match or an employer match, they will also put in 6,000. So that's $12,000, right? So that $12,000 over the span of years, not considering that you're going to continue to be able to put in more because you're going to make more, that gap is just going to be wider and wider. So make sure that you are investing, make sure you are taking advantage of your employer as much as you can, because they're gonna get that money out of you. They're gonna get that work out of you. So make sure you get that work out of them. All right. And step 4, very quickly, is the habits. I feel like the money isn't the only thing that's important. It's also, is discipline, right? So if you don't take care of your body, you can't really enjoy your money. It doesn't matter how much money you got if you got to always be in the hospital, or if you got to take all types of medicine when you're 40, 50 years old. I think the way you take care of your body now is going to determine how you live later, right? So it's a saying that's very, very true. It's like the choices you make today are going to affect you 5 to 10 years from now, right? So just understand it. Going to the gym, continue to learn new skills, saying no to crazy spending, even just showing up every day, those habits compound just like money. Some days I don't feel motivated to do things and all that, but it's those times where you don't feel like doing it that you still got to do it. Okay. And number 5 is mindset. I have to accept, and everybody else has to accept, especially if you're in your 20s, that it's not going to happen right now. It's not going to happen right now. This is the long game, right? It's the long game, and time is going to pass either way. So you might as well do the right thing now, so when that time passes, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Okay? We're not rich yet. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes, but I know exactly what the plan is. And I know if I keep compounding, it's going to be great 20 to 30 years from now. it could be even sooner. So this is just a little something, man. Let me know if you guys like the videos like this. I got the little gameplay over, and we'll keep making more of these, man. So I'm gonna talk about income, budgeting, investments, just all types of different stuff, man. We all figuring this stuff out together. See y'all later.